FOLKSTOPHERS. I'm Mr. Christopher's. This is my WorldStophers, and this is the Sydney Sweeney Movie Reviewvie Special. That's right, folks. Sydney Sweeney Movie Reviewvie Special. Our first female to grace the Movie Reviewvie Special. That's right, folks. Sydney Sweeney gets that title. Our first Movie Reviewvie Special involving a female actress goes to Sydney Sweeney. I watched 4 Sydney Sweeney movies, and I'm going to tell you how they were with the Mr. Christopher movie scaleQlator over here. We rated them from 0 to 11, and we'll see how she did. I'll say it right now. She is a good actress. I won't take it away from her. She is a good actress, and I'm sure we'll talk more about that as we go forward. But before we go forward, I do want to say we lost a mentor of hers in the breasticle world today as I film this. I just learned hours ago she passed away. Dolly Parton has passed away, and that is sad. She always seemed like a very lovely woman in form and in mind. She seemed very happy and nice. You gotta love a woman like that. And it's a big loss in the world. You know, that she was some people's first Sydney Sweeney back all those days ago. She was the original Sydney Sweeney. And I do want to also say we lost another one, another legend, another breasted legend, beauty, Hayden Panettiere. Apparently she also died, unfortunately. She may have been murdered. She may have just killed herself. She may have been pushed to the edge of darkness, and who knows? Who knows what happened there? I don't know. I don't know what was a dang thing. What I've heard is things, and I go, But that's all. That's all. I come to no conclusions. I let everything just be an open book. Even when there is a conclusion, I still don't tie it a knot because I'm like, you never know. Even though a knot can come loose anyway. So I could tie it a knot and it can still come loose and be more information later. But that's a blah, blah, blah. R.I.P. Hayden Panettiere. R.I.P. Dolly Parton. Let's get into Sydney Sweeney movies as Sydney Sweeney takes the baton from both those legends and keeps moving forward in the world of today. And we all know what Mr. Christopher says every time he's here. Keep moving forward, lead with love, never be afraid, etc., and so on and so forth. Let's get into the first Sydney Sweeney movie. Sydney Sweeney special, folks. Let's get into it. We'll get into it, Mr. Christopher, with Eden. That's right. Jude Law, Ana de Armas, who played Marilyn Monroe, if we don't remember, who also is someone that we will remember today, as we always remember Marilyn Monroe here at Mr. Christopher's World. Vanessa Kirby, Danielle Bruel, and Sydney Sweeney. Mr. Christopher, what the score on the Mr. Christopher movie scaleQlator, sir? How'd you feel about it, please, sir? Take it away. Based off true events, Eden, Sydney Sweeney, Ana de Armas, Daniel, whatever his last name was, Jude Law, who's somebody I don't really care for, but this movie, I enjoyed this movie. Sydney Sweeney was fine in this movie. I thought to myself, let's see what she's got. This was my first technically it was my second Sydney Sweeney movie I ever watched. My first Sydney Sweeney movie I will show you, and I got some stuff to say about it, blah, 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 blah. But this is the second one I ever watched. I was like, let's see what her actress chops really have here. She's fully clothed. It's a real actor's job. I wanted to see what she had. I thought she did a fantastic job. At one point, she pops out a breast to breastfeed, and it's like, oh, whoa, I didn't see it coming. So it was like, oh, thank you. And it was nice, and it was good. And the whole movie, it's just a good movie. On the Mr. Christopher movie scaleQlator, it scored a very good 7. I gave it a 7 because it brought me to heaven. As you see, it's going to fall. Well, I'm going to drop it. It's going to fall. My scaleQlator. I'll fix that for the next take. But anyway, 7, Eden. Let's go to the next Sydney Sweeney movie. I'll fix that. Let's go to the next Sydney Sweeney movie. Who's running this place? Let's go to the next Sydney Sweeney movie. And for the next Sydney Sweeney movie, we're going here, folks, to Americana. That's right, folks, Americana. Welcome to the New West. Mr. Christopher, how'd you feel about Americana? What did it score on the Mr. Christopher movie scaleQlator? Would you watch it again, please, sir? Take it away. I'll take it away, Larry. But first, Let's play glasses or no glasses with Sydney Sweeney. Doodle-a-doot-a-doot. And here we are at glasses or no glasses. As you can see, we have two different pictures here. One of Sydney Sweeney with glasses and one of Sydney Sweeney wearing makeup with no glasses. What do you prefer, Mr. Christopher? Please, let us know. Thank you, Larry, for presenting us with those beautiful pictures of Sydney Sweeney, one with glasses and one without. Mr. Christopher prefers the glasses, believe it or not. I love glasses on a female. I'm a big fan of a nerdy situation. Women who are good at math or reading books, I am a sucker for that. That's why I try to shop for women at Barnes & Noble's, which is a bookstore if you don't know. And usually if I find a girl with the glasses reading a book, I'll walk up to her and I'm like, hey, how you doing? And she goes, get away from me. And I go, oh, okay, and I leave. And I remain alone, which is probably better for me anyway. Let's be honest here. Americana on the Mr. Christopher movie scaleQlator, it scored a very okay. I fixed it. 6. I gave it a 6. I wasn't a fan of Lefty, and if you watch the movie and you see Lefty and you'll understand how people, these are the types of people I don't care for. He's just not my cup of tea. He's fine. He's a nice guy. He's a good dude, but he's someone that I'm like, you are annoying to me. I don't like you, you autistic weirdo, which is fine also to be autistic and weird. Those are things that I like. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say I like it, but I did just sit here and say I like it. I don't care about them. How about that? That's better. I'm not a fan of Lefty. She has a stutter in the movie. She calls a stammer. I thought that was weird. There's a little kid who thinks he's an Indian because I think he's inhibited spiritually by an Indian chief, which I liked. And Americana, 6. It's a fine movie. It was actually an okay watch. Definitely no higher than a 6. You could maybe go lower, but I'm not going to go much lower. And if I was going to go any lower, it would only be, I'm not going to say it. Americana, Sydney Sweeney. Let's go to the next movie. And next we go here. Mr. Christopher dug into the archives of Sydney Sweeney's career and he found Stolen from the Suburbs. One mother will stop at nothing to save her daughter from a pedophilic prostitution ring. That's right, folks. Larry said it, a pedophilic prostitution ring. And you know how Mr. Christopher feels about pedophilia and prostitution. Mr. Christopher, please, what did score on the Mr. Christopher movie scaleQlator? How'd you feel about it, sir? Please, sir, please. Take it away. Stolen from the Suburbs, folks. Sydney Sweeney is stolen from the suburbs for a pedophilic prostitution ring. And you may not know how Mr. Christopher feels about prostitution, but you do know how he feels about pedophilia. He hates it. He thinks it's disgusting. Those people are gross and wrong and terrible. And this isn't even the worst form of pedophilia because at least she's not a child. Okay. And prostitution, you don't know how Mr. Christopher feels about prostitution because he's never shared with you the information. And the information is, it should be legalized and regulated. I think it's crazy that it isn't legalized and regulated because if it was legalized and regulated, I think more men and females, but mostly men, come on, let's be honest here, would have a outlet of sexuality that in regular life, they're not given a lot of times. And, you know, there's some ugly people out there. No offense to them. They just are some ugly, hideous people compared to the norms of decent looks. And they need love too. It's like when someone says fat girls need love too. It's like, yeah, so don't the ugly, ugly people that don't get touched by anybody. And that's when you legalize and regulate prostitution so they can pay for it and do it in a safe and secure environment. And that's just my opinion on prostitution. But when it's done this way, like taken from the suburbs, I'm against it entirely. Taken from the suburbs, Sydney Sweeney on the Mr. Christopher movie scaleQlator. It scored a very okay 6. I gave it a 6. Sydney Sweeney is young in this movie. I don't know her actual age. I didn't look it up. But she's a fine actress. And I said it at the beginning, and I'll say it now again. I didn't go into this Sydney Sweeney special wanting to watch things that presented her breasts as the main focal point. I wanted to watch Sydney Sweeney movies that showed her actress prowess. As I already said, I wanted to see how she could act and if she could do it at all, or if her breasts and possibly her mouth got her where she was or is or whatever. And from, as you see, these 3 movies I've done, she got a 7 and 2 6s so far. And I'm going to tell you right now, the next movie is a little rated lower, but that's good average for, at least 3. And the 4th one too, she averages about a 6. She averages about a 6. And that's a fine movie average. And yeah, I think she's a fine actress, but fine, only fine. There's nothing like, there is, I will say this as well. There's 2 Sydney Sweeney movies that I did not watch that I've been told to watch. One of them is like a boxing movie, which is fun because I just went on that Rocky journey. And so I do, and I think it's called Christie. I just couldn't find it. And I didn't pay for, I didn't want to pay for HBO Max and all this other stuff. So I was like, I'll watch it eventually. But apparently that's really good. And then there's another one too. I think it's called the Voyeurs, which is a word I always say. Voyeurs, I'm always calling, the flock camera situation, these creepy voyeur, pedophilic, crazy authoritarian types that need to watch everybody do everything. So I'm interested in Voyeurs, which is another movie that she has that I did not watch. But the next movie you'll know probably. But before we get into that, let's take some time to say R.I.P. to some legendary females. Only the 3 that I talked about at the beginning, and let's look at the crazy non-differences. What's the crazy alikes? What would you say? Let's look at the crazy, just how they look the same. Let's look at the similarities. There it is. There's the word. Let's look at the similarities that these beauties share. First, we're going to go here to the ever so beautiful Marilyn Monroe. Look at those eyes. Look at that face. Look at those cheeks. Look at those lips. Look at the hair. She's a beauty. In the arms of an angel. Blah, 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 blah. This is Marilyn Monroe, too. Look at her. Beautiful, confident, happy, ruined. Ruined by the people around her. Just absolutely ruined. And who knows what happened to her body after she was dead. I have heard things that are terrible, and I can only imagine what they did to Hayden Panettiere. Jeez Louise. But let's go up. Let's see who else we got. Here she is, Hayden Panettiere, in all of her glory. Beautiful. Beautiful. We lost that. That is so unfortunate, and it's so sad. In the arms of an angel. Blah, blah, blah. And then we got Dolly Parton. Look at her. Beautiful. Beautiful Dolly. In the arms of an angel, blah, 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 blah. There she is again, Dolly Parton, everybody. As I said already at the beginning of this, the second coming, Sydney Sweeney is the second coming of Dolly Parton. In the arms of an angel. And here she is again, Hayden Panettiere, you poor, beautiful woman. You didn't deserve to be mistreated as you may have been, or you maybe were just crazy. I don't know. I wasn't there. I never met you once. But you poor, beautiful woman, you left behind a child, and that is the saddest part. In the arms of an angel. Blah, blah, blah. Here she is again, Hayden Panettiere. You didn't need to go so young. In the arms of an angel. Who we got here? Who's this? And then here we are with she's not deceased. This is Sydney Sweeney in all of her glory, folks. Beautiful. Looks like she's maybe sitting on the beach, just came out of the ocean, no makeup. Sydney Sweeney. Look at how they all kind of have a similar look to them. Beauty is this. Look at these beautiful women. R.I.P. to the 3 that are deceased. One of them made it to the age of 80. The other 2 made it only to the age of 36. I think they were both the same age. Marilyn Monroe may have been actually 34. But R.I.P. Let's get back to Mr. Christopher. One more movie to go. Let's do it. You are correct, Larry. One more Sydney Sweeney movie to go, and we're getting out of here. It's the Sydney Sweeney special, folks. But before we get into that, I got these flowers for the deceased. That's right. Marilyn Monroe, Dolly Parton, Hayden Panettiere. May you rest in peace. These flowers are for you. A moment of silence for the beautiful females who have fallen. And with that done, let's get to the last Sydney Sweeney movie, folks. They smell fake. And for the next and last Sydney Sweeney movie of the Sydney Sweeney Movie Reviewvie Sydney Sweeney special, we have Anyone But You with Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell. Mr. Christopher, from my understanding, does not care for Glenn Powell for reasons of a movie that he had watched prior to movie Reviewvie formation. He'll tell you about that in a moment. Mr. Christopher, how do you feel about this movie? Why do you not like Glenn Powell? What did this movie score on the Mr. Christopher movie scaleQlator? Would you watch it again? How does it sit in your heart? Who told you to watch it? Tell us all this information, sir. Please, sir, take it away. Anyone but you. You. Anyone but you. On the Mr. Christopher movie scaleQlator, it scored a very low, I'll tell you in a second. Glenn Powell is one of my least favorite actors. And I'll tell you this, he was in a movie that I rated on this show. What was it called? Everybody Wants Some. That was a good movie, and he was a fine character in it, honestly. I was like, man, you're tickling my fancy here a little bit, but I just don't like him. There's a movie that I watched right before the formation creation of Mr. Christopher's World, movie Reviewvie, and it was one of the movies that made me be like, I gotta do movie Reviewvies because people were liking it, and they were like, this is a great film, and I went and seen it, and I was like, this is a pile of garbage. This is an actual pile of garbage. Unfortunately, my next few episodes of movie Reviewvie are already written in stone. So I'll get to this movie, but I'll rewatch the movie to make sure that I was correct, and then I'll tell you what it scored on the Miss Christopher movie scaleQlator. But I'm telling you right now, it might be one of those rare ones, which we've only had one, and it was actually the last special we did, which was Shia LaBeoufenstein, if you remember Shia LaBeouf. And now we're here at our first female special, which is Sydney Sweeney. And Sydney Sweeney did this movie with Glenn Powell called Anyone But You. My sister originally told me to watch this way before, actually. I seen this movie. This is the only Sydney Sweeney movie I had ever seen prior to movie Reviewvie formation creation. My sister told me to watch it. She said it was a good movie. On the Mr. Christopher movie scaleQlator, it's going to tell you a different tale. Scored a very low. Four. I gave it a 4, folks. I gave it a 4. I don't care about this movie. The whole time I'm thinking, how much money do these people have? There's so much happening, and it's just like this is what a billionaire's life is. It must be, or a trillionaire, because there's like 20 people. They're all on vacation. Whoever is funding it has an unlimited amount of money. They take like 2 helicopter. He pays for 2 helicopter rescues, just like that, no problem. At one point, he jumps off a mountain to get a helicopter. It's so ridiculous. But the first helicopter rescue scene actually did make me laugh and cry all at the same. It was a very mixed emotion moment where I was like, this is a good moment. When I think about the movie, because one of the things I do in my Reviewvie and rating situation is I think about it, I like to think about it weeks after, and I have a fondness thought to it. Like, a part of me is like, I could rewatch, because there's a lot of, it's the music, it's the whole thing. There's a lot of like, they're really trying to get you to like this movie. But I didn't care for it. I like her. Oh yeah, that was actually another thing. I felt that her acting in this movie was one of the most mid performances of her career. And I've only seen these 4 movies, but out of the 4, and as I stated already, and I'll state it again, I was watching Sydney Sweeney movies to get an idea of if this woman can act. And I will say she can. She's a fine actress. She puts on different faces. Not too different. No, not too different. One of the problems in the acting world is a lot of people are one character faceted. And it doesn't matter who they play. It's like they can play all sorts of different people, but it's just that person. You know what I'm saying? It's a problem. It's a problem. But she kind of is that, but she can drift away a little to like some originality, but she's still kind of, you're watching it, you're like, that's Sydney Sweeney. So she's fine. She's not the best female actress there ever was, that's for sure. She's got some great skills, but 4, Anyone But You, R.I.P. Hayden Panettiere, R.I.P. Marilyn Monroe, as always, R.I.P. Dolly Parton. Sydney Sweeney, was a pleasure having you on this show. I will watch those other 2 movies I talked about eventually. I will also watch that Glenn Powell movie and tell you about it and how much I don't like him and how bad of a movie that actually was. And I'm not going to tell you what it is. That's a secret for later. I will remember to do it. Don't worry. Mr. Christopher does not forget about Mr. Christopher World movie Reviewvie situations. Maybe I do sometimes. But that's neither here nor there. I got a lot going on, folks. There's a lot of things happening here. With that said, folks, that's the end of Movie Reviewvie special Sydney Sweeney special Movie Reviewvie with me, Mr. Christopher. I'm Mr. Christopher. This is my world. That was the Sydney Sweeney special Movie Reviewvie. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next weeky. And the next special, I know who it's going to be. People probably won't care for it, but I care for it. I'll talk to you then about that. That's it. I got nothing more. Bye! Oh, yeah. Never be afraid. Always lead with love. Keep moving forward. And that's about that. Have a fantastic rest of whenever until the thing and with the stuff. And bye. Bow, chicka, bow, wow, chicka, bam. Bye indeed, but I forgot the VHS, folks. Here it is. The VHS. This is actually a very important VHS because it continues our rocky journey. That's right, folks. Creed! We're gonna do Creed. How do you... I gotta figure that out. Here it is. Creed! We're watching Creed. We watched Creed. I rated Creed. We have Creed next week. Apollo Creed. That's right, Apollo Creed's son. You're going to see how Mr. Christopher feels about the Creed series because we're going to continue our rocky journey with the next Creed movies. That's right, folks. But that's next week. And then the week after. And the week after because there's 3 Creeds. And then we're going to wrap up our rocky journey then. But that's then. This is now. This was the Sydney Sweeney special. I hope you enjoyed. Always keep moving forward. Always lead with love. Never be afraid. And I'll see you next time. Mr. Christopher, you crazy.